Hi guys, and welcome back to Mad Max Podcast. I'm your host, Maxwell Lennox, and tonight's episode we are just gonna have a very cozy, chill time together. I'm gonna answer some weird, cool, funny, interesting questions. And yeah, we'll just chill out and enjoy our Friday evening after a very long work week. So sit back, relax, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, everything, or I'm gonna have to bust your fucking kneecaps. So I'm just gonna start asking questions, and then obviously I'm gonna answer because nobody's here and I have no friends, and that's cool because guess what? I am my own best friend. So if you are a loner like me, you can go ahead and drop your answers in the comments as well. How are you doing really? Me personally, I had a really long work week. I actually asked my VP boss for a raise, which is I've never done that before, but I was feeling really girl boss. What? Yeah, I asked her for a raise, and she said that we would talk next week. So we set up a time on Wednesday to get together and kind of dig in. And now I'm okay, so now that I've made this step to ask her and she's totally on board with it, to at least hear me out, I need to make sure that I come up with really good key points to kind of show my value and why I feel like I deserve a raise, which I feel like I do. So anyways, just in my girl boss era. Also, my eyes look like they're two different sizes right now, and it's really making me uncomfortable. I don't know about y'all. So how would you guys tell me how you're doing in the comments, and don't hold back. Really, what's going on? How are you? Let's start a conversation. I'm a listening ear, for real, for real. It might be a little jokey, it's just a drama, but I really am a good listener. What has been on your mind recently that you hope to share with listeners? So what's been on my mind recently that I wanted to share with all of you guys is just, I think this is always on my mind. It's an ever flowing thought process. Is just I'm getting older, and the dreams that I had when I was younger and who I thought I'd be at this age right now and this moment in time is nowhere near what I am. And it can kind of get very overwhelming because I always imagined myself to be a star of some sort, whether it be in acting or writing or art or just being in front of the camera is just where I feel most comfortable and safe. And I put myself out there all of the time, but I just don't ever really see any um, benefit of it. Or not benefit, that might be the wrong word. I guess maybe actual, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Success? I see no success in it. And I keep doing it because I genuinely love it. I genuinely love being in front of the camera, and I love putting my art out there, whether it's just me being goofy or if I'm, doing poetry or acting or doing a poem, or not doing a poem, doing some artwork, or, this, that, and the third, whatever it is that I feel like doing that day. I just enjoy doing it so much that it doesn't matter to me that the success part hasn't hit yet. But then in the back of my mind, when I lay down in the middle of the night, it pops up and I'm like, wow, you really aren't who you thought that you would be at this age. You really didn't become what you thought that you were going to become. And it kind of can be very depressing. I don't know if that's everybody, but that's certainly me. What books have changed your life the most? Honestly, my book, I know that sounds so vain, and maybe it is, and that's fine, but it changed my life because I wrote it about in a way that you wouldn't know that it's about my life. And I also dedicated it to my mother who has passed away. Um, and so it's extremely special to me, and my story with her is ever entwined in it. So it's the most important piece of work that I've ever even created. So yeah, I would say that my own novel definitely changed my view on everything. It changed my life, not because it brought success, but because I accomplished it, and that there is such a deep rooted meaning to it. And even if nothing ever comes of it, it means everything to me. So you can find that book on Amazon called The Dark Bane by Maxwell Lennox, if you want to check it out. I'm actually in the process of writing the sequel to that book. It's called Infinity Rising. I hope to have it out by the end of this year, but most likely it's going to not be released until 2025. I just have so much going on with work, and I find myself doing less and less of like the artistic side of things because work and money and bills and all of those things triumph my, I guess, hobbies, my artistic hobbies. So, yeah. Whew. What goals are you pursuing right now? I think it's obvious the goals that I'm pursuing have been the same goals that I've been pursuing my entire life. And that is, like I've been mumbling on about, rambling on about for the last, I don't know, 8 minutes, is just, my artistic side, my creativity, being able to create a life where I can be excited about work. Work would be amazing if I could be acting or telling stories or writing novels or doing art, anything but working a 9 to 5, really. But so I just keep putting myself out there, and that's my current goal, is just to keep creating a space for myself to express, even if nobody gives a flying flip, because it matters to me. And, I feel like at the end of my life, I want there to be this long montage of like everything I ever created. And I've created a lot, even of like my own short films and of my art and all those things that, again, probably very vain, but I don't really care. So, yeah, those are my goals. How have you changed the most over the last year? Gosh, I would say I have changed exponentially. That's a big word, and I hope that it goes there in this sentence. Um, oh God, I have taken a lot of time to really catch up to my age, and I'm nowhere near it, and I probably will never ever catch up to it, but the growth that I have created in myself within this last year is so incredible, and I'm very proud of myself because I have been through a lot of crazy ups and downs, as everyone has, but the confidence in who I am and the belief in myself and not searching for it in other people has just completely done a 360. And I'm so true to my own heart, and I don't care if I don't have anybody supporting me or on my side or believing in me, because I believe in myself and I love myself. And that has been the biggest hurdle that I have ever had to overcome. And I'm just so proud of myself that I finally have gotten to that place. And I'm just very content and happy to just be living my life and doing what makes me happy and not worrying about letting other people down or what it might look like to them or if they're going to still love me. Like, I don't really care. Doesn't matter. Don't need them. So that has definitely been the biggest change in my life. And I'm just so proud of myself for coming to this point and being responsible for my own self. And that is just, you can't take that away from someone. What is your perspective on mental health growing up versus now? Honestly, when I was growing up, mental health was like not a thing. And I struggled severely from the time that I was 11 years old, even now, but it's very accepted now and very like comforting to know like you're not crazy or people are more understanding. When I was growing up, that was not the case. I was treated differently because I had issues. I was anxiety ridden. I had severe panic disorder. At one point in my life, I was actually agoraphobic. When I was in ninth grade, I could not even leave my freaking house. I would freak the out. It was so bad and so humiliating. And like, I was just like really lost in depression because I had none of my friends dealt with that or had that same experience that I did. And you didn't want anybody to think that you were crazy or weird, and it was a really miserable experience to have mental health issues growing up in the early 2000s. I'm so happy now that I can see that young children and young adults, that it's more accepted and understanding, and people are more aidful towards them than it was when I was growing up. I felt very alone a lot of the time. And you know what's really sucks is like I still do sometimes. Like I don't really talk about it much when I'm dealing with it, and I kind of just try to like sweep it under the rug or deal with it by myself because that's what was programmed in my head when I was growing up with it, and nobody else had it or cared to talk about it or thought I was weird or something was like wrong with me. And that's really sad now that I think about that, but I'm happy that it's not that same terrible cycle and people talk about mental health and it's in your face and you can't run from it, and it's embraced with love and compassion, even though my experience was not the same. So, what is the biggest challenge you've overcome in your mental health? Oh my God, honestly, my mental health is like all over the place. I still have really bad anxiety. I am on medication, so it does help. It has taken the edge off. I mean, like I said, there have been times in my life where I haven't even been able to leave my house. Since COVID, for sure, my mental health declined like way bad, and I was kind of getting back into that space where like leaving the house was like uncomfortable for me, and like I would have start having panic attacks. But and then my mom passed away, and I knew immediately that I needed to get back on medication or it was not going to be good. And I did, and it's a daily battle. It is, but I am stronger and I push myself and I try to really push those barriers. I still have hard days and like there's still things that I just like don't want to do. I'd rather just be home. I'm very much a homebody and I like to be alone. And I hate that it's that way, but if that's what's best for my mental health, then I have to put myself first, and that's what I do. So I'd say the biggest thing is putting my validation in my feelings and doing what's best for me, and also pushing myself beyond the limit, because in order to grow you have to cross that line. You can't stay in one position forever and expect some change or a different outcome. You have to sometimes push yourself through uncomfortable barriers, and also fear can be your superpower. Sometimes fear can push you to a place where you just say, I'm done. Like I'm not scared anymore. Like, and that's kind of where I had to get to. I was afraid and afraid and afraid and afraid and avoiding and avoiding and avoiding for so long. And then finally the fear just became so overwhelming that I didn't care anymore. It became like a superpower, and it pushed me to go over that line that I was drawing in the sand, pretty much. So that's my biggest accomplishment with mental health. And I'm very, very proud of myself for where I am today. I have so long to go in my journey, and I still have things that I need to overcome and face and do and all of those things, but 1 second at a time, one, stone at a time that I will overcome, and I will eventually get to climb every mountain and look back and say, yeah, I did that. But until then, I grace myself each day and I do what's best for me and I validate my feelings. That is the most important thing when you're dealing with mental health, is validating who you are. I think I really like this question because I feel like this is like huge. It's, what do people misunderstand about you most? I honestly feel like I am one of the most misunderstood human beings on this planet. And I'm misunderstood because a lot of my younger days, I was really just searching to be accepted and loved and belong somewhere, that like I kind of would lose sight of who I really was and become whatever I thought that person wanted me to be, which in turn was like a dishonesty to myself. And also the the people in my life really didn't know me because I was afraid to be who I was because I didn't feel like it was enough. And I think people took that as me just being very closed off and like pushing them away. And I think in a way that I did do that, but it wasn't for the reasons that people may have thought, whether I didn't care or however you want to say that. I am a very caring person and very, very loving and will do anything for people that I truly care about. But I think at the end of the day, I had a lot of demons in my closet and I was afraid to be who I really truly was, which in turn made me lose a lot of relationships. And I don't I don't regret that, which might sound crazy, but now, you know, where I am at in my life now, I think, well, I don't really believe that those people would have meshed with me on who I really was and who I really am. The people that stuck by my side and knew the real me, and the people that didn't, that I pushed away, that just didn't want to deal with me anymore, they just weren't meant to be in the long run, and that's okay too. But I definitely feel like I was very misunderstood, um, most of my life. And a lot of that was because I was ashamed of who I was, and I'm just not anymore. So, yeah, I don't know if anybody ever felt like that, or I think sometimes people come into your life and you think that they're going to be there forever and you love them and you give them everything that you have to give, and one day you wake up and they're not there anymore. And whether that's because you've done something or they've done something or it just didn't work out or you guys drifted apart, whatever, it doesn't matter. It all hurts the same, right? At least it did to me. um, but then you have these really rare moments where you meet people and they are there forever. Like, you could do the worst possible thing and they're still there. And I think those are the people that are in your corner fighting for you to be you and love you for who you are. And those are the ones that matter. Sometimes I feel like we get so caught up on the ones that didn't make it into the next chapter. And it's like, for why? For what? They didn't make it into the next chapter for a reason, and you didn't make it into their next chapter for a reason, because you were no longer benefiting them and they're no longer benefiting you. So I think we just get mixed up and stuck on all of the wrong things sometimes. I'm speaking personally from my own experience with myself and things that I get caught up on, and in the past, just dwelling on like, well, why didn't this work out? Well, it didn't work out because it wasn't meant to be. And that's just that. And thank God it wasn't meant to be, because something greater is on the horizon or something greater has already happened. But it's never the end, you know? I really truly believe that now. It's never the end. And when you think that nobody else could possibly love you or care about you or come in, there's literally 1 billion people in the world. 1 billion people. You will meet your people eventually. You just got to keep looking in the right places. This is going to be the last question of the Chill Vibe podcast, but it is, what is your favorite thing about what you do, like career-wise? And that's kind of an interesting thing to say for the career that I'm in. I work with obituaries, so I don't necessarily think I have a favorite part about people dying, because like that's so sad, and actually a lot of my job can be very, very depressing, especially when you come across a child's obituary, or anyone, really anyone, but you know, when it's just something about a child or just someone young who had their entire life ahead of them, like you just don't expect that, obviously. But I think my favorite part about it is connecting with people who are grieving, and just being someone that they can talk to. I know that sounds crazy because it's not like I'm talking to them and helping them like in a therapeutic way, but there are some connections that I'll make with certain customers that we have, and I can take my experience of losing my mom and kind of just be a light to them in such a really dark moment in their life, and trying to make this process, because the process you go through when someone close to you dies is like so mind boggling and difficult to kind of get through. Obviously, there's just so much going on, and I just really like to be that extra bit of like, we've got this for you, this is taken care of, check this off your checklist, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's definitely one of my favorite things about my current job, in all of the depressiveness that industry brings. I mean, it's like, you know, you're going to work and I'm looking at people who have passed away, and I'm dealing with customers who have literally just lost their mom or their daughters or their sons or their uncles, and like etc etc. Like, you're dealing with people who are like literally living the worst moments of their life. And now that I say that out loud, I really don't know how I get up and do that every day, because it is really sad, but you kind of get numb to it. Sometimes I have to remind myself, like, this is not pretend, like these people are really, really going through it. So anyways, that's what I do. I work in obituaries. I want to be an actress, artist, writer, poet, but I work in obituaries. So if you would like, comment, subscribe, share, I might not have to work in obituaries anymore, and I could really live my dream. But until then, I'll be proofing obituaries. But actually, I want to show, I do a little bit of digital art, and I want to show you guys some of my digital art pieces. I think, why not? Let me just go ahead and share with the world what I got going on. I did this one a couple weeks ago. This is my Lady Gaga piece. I wonder if I can get it. Perfect. Let that. This is my Lady Gaga digital art piece. It's got a lot of her different album arts on here, and then also AHS Hotel, because I love that season because she's in it. I also want to share with you my little Tupac vibe that I had going on. Just a little doodle of him thug life. I know nothing about that life, but you know what? It's cool. What else can I share with you guys? I really love doing digital art. Sometimes I just do like random doodles. And I love this one. This one's Mona Lisa. And this is just like a little black and white doodle that I did. But yeah, so those are a couple of my art pieces that I love, and digital art pieces rather. I also paint, but since I got an iPad, I have been more on digital, but I have all of my paintings like all over my apartment because like why not be my own artist gallery thing. But anyways, thank you guys so much for sticking around and hanging out with me on this Friday night, or whatever night it is. It might be a different night now or day or whatever, but thank you so much for tuning in and kind of having a relaxing, chill podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, please get me out there, comment, like, share, subscribe, boost me up, hype me up, do what you do best. And until next time, it's me, Maxwell, and I'm out of here. Bye, guys.